Good evening kids and welcome to Yupp Master. This is the second video of frog and I know your NEET exams are coming up this Sunday. So just on a quick note, if at all you haven't been through this whole topic of frog and of earthworm, I know that all of you keep this very pending till the last moment. So watch my earthworm videos too. They are present in our Yupp Master playlist. So they're just 2 videos. In 2 hours, you just listen to my video and you'll get earthworm all done. Same goes for frog. I've uploaded the frog video as well. Today we're going to be completing frog, okay? And if at all you're a NEET aspirant right now, this Sunday is your paper. This is going to be very easy. It's a piece of cake, very simple, but I want you to pay attention to this because if at all an MCQ comes, your 4 marks shouldn't go at all, okay? So stay with me for 1 hour. You're not going to have to touch this ever again until your papers, all right? All right, so let's start. When we talk about the frog, we have learned in our last lecture about the external morphology. Are you all with me? Yes, any of my kids here, I'd like to see you. I am having my phone right in front of me, hoping to see a hi from you all. All right, so let's begin. Well, when we talk about frog, in our last lecture, we spoke about the digestive system. We spoke about the external morphology. We also studied what was the difference between a frog and a toad. Also, we studied about the different external things that we are seeing, okay, like that how the tongue looks like, how the external ear looks like. We saw all of those things, okay. Let us continue now. Today, we're going to be learning about the nervous system. We're going to be learning about the excretory system and most important, we will be learning about the reproductive system of the frog today. Okay, so let's start. If you have already cleared your 12th exam, you will understand how similar this is to that of the human structure. And if you haven't, if you're with me from your 11th standard, then we have this also in detail. So stay with me and it'll be very easy. Okay, first of all, when we talk about the nervous system of the frog, this is having both nervous as well as endocrine system. So there is a control and there is a coordination happening too. Alright. Talking about the endocrine systems, well, all of the glands are present just like that in humans. Which glands are those? Those would be starting with the pituitary gland, just like humans. Yes, there is the pituitary gland. There is the thyroid gland, the parathyroid glands. Then comes the thymus gland too. Where is the thymus gland located? You know that the pituitary is in the brain, thyroid in the throat, as well as the parathyroid in the throat. Thymus gland, a gland which is situated near the heart. Pineal body, again present in the brain. Then the pancreas, okay, secreting hormones. Even the adrenal glands, and they also have gonads. Isn't this very similar to that of humans? Yes. So all of these glands are present in the frog. When we talk about the nervous system of the frog, then what is there in the nervous system? It has a central, a peripheral and an autonomic nervous system. So the frog also has the CNS, the PNS and the ANS. Okay. Now with the CNS, PNS and ANS, let us see its further bifurcations. You will see even this is very similar to humans. Central nervous system can have the parts. Which are those parts? Brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system has the parts of cranial and spinal nerves, and the autonomic nervous system has the parts of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, so CNS, brain and spinal cord, PNS, the nerves, and autonomic nervous system, the voluntary and involuntary activities. Okay, that was the bifurcation of the nervous system of the frog. Now, continuing ahead. Just like us, even the frogs have got a brain which is going to be covered or protected in a brainy box. You may call this as the cranium too. Can you see the shape of that frog's skull bone? Okay. Also, we see that in the frog, the brain which is there, it is also divided into a forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain, just like us. Only that structurally, you may see that it is a little bit different. Okay. So, over here is the forebrain. Here is the midbrain and this part would be about the hindbrain. Okay. So those are the divisions of the brain. What does the forebrain include? Okay. Forebrain here is having the 3 parts. Which are they? First, there is a pair of or 2 olfactory lobes. There are 2 olfactory lobes. Then there are 2 cerebral hemispheres. and third part of the brain is, or third part of the forebrain is, there is a diencephalon. Where is the diencephalon here? This part that you're seeing here, this is the diencephalon. Okay, so the forebrain has 2 olfactory lobes, 2 cerebral hemispheres and a diencephalon. Then coming next to the midbrain. The midbrain has the part which is called as the optic lobes. Can you see there are 2 optic lobes here? Okay, one here and the second one here. So midbrain has a pair of optic lobes. Okay, what does the hindbrain include? The hindbrain is having a part which is called as the cerebellum. Okay, where is the cerebellum? Here it is. This is the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. So, hindbrain has 2 parts, cerebellum and medulla oblongata. What did the forebrain have? Forebrain had the 3 parts, olfactory lobes, cerebral hemispheres and diencephalon. Midbrain is having pair of optic lobes and hindbrain is having the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. Okay, so those were the different parts of the brain of the frog. Now, after the medulla oblongata, even in our body, that is the last part of the brain, and after that part of the brain continues as the spinal cord. But in order to continue as the spinal cord, it has to come out of the skull bone, doesn't it? And in order to come out of that skull bone, there has to be some opening in the skull bone so that the spinal cord can come out of it. So, in the skull bone, that opening, in order to allow the spinal cord to come out, that opening is going to be called as foramen magnum. What is it called as? It's called as foramen magnum. Foramen magnum, just like in humans, it is an opening present at the bottom of the skull in order to allow the spinal cord to pass out from it. Okay, it's like a hole present in the skull because it is a big hole. Another name for hole is foramen, and because it is big, it's called as the magnum. Alright, so don't forget foramen magnum, a big hole in the skull in order to allow the spinal cord to pass out of it. Alright, next, look at this over here. After the medulla oblongata comes out, and after it comes out through that foramen magnum, it is going to continue further down as the spinal cord. And remember one thing, the spinal cord is, where is the spinal cord found? Even the frogs are vertebrates, aren't they? So if they are vertebrates, they are having a vertebral column. Now, the vertebral column is going to have a hole in between. Okay, each and every single vertebrae will have a hole in between, and through that hole, the spinal cord will pass. So that hole, okay, if there is a hole in the vertebral column, then that hole is going to allow the spinal cord to pass through it. Spinal cord is a structure of the nervous system. Because it is a structure, because it is a hole which is allowing a structure of the nervous system to pass through it, may I call that as a neural canal? Yes, so this hole that is there, which is allowing the spinal cord to pass through it, this is a part of the vertebrae. That hole is going to be called as the neural canal. That's why it's written, the medulla oblongata is going to continue as the spinal cord, which is enclosed in the neural canal of the vertebral column. Is this clear? Yes, neural canal is that hole present in the vertebrae which allows the spinal cord to pass through it. Okay. Now, we see here that the spinal cord is going to be acting as a middleman. Okay, middleman between what? Spinal cord acts as a middleman between the brain and the effectors. Means whenever a signal wants to go from brain to the effectors, it has to go via the spinal cord. Okay, so from brain to effector through the spinal cord, that's why it's called as the middleman. Alright, next, along with the nervous system, we also see that the frogs, they have certain very well developed special senses. Okay, which are these senses which are present? Sense of touch, sense of taste, then smell, even sight and hearing too. Okay, this will be quite surprising, but even in that small frog you may see all of these senses are present. Touch, taste, smell, sight and hearing. Alright, so let us see. We see that in the frogs, They have well organized structures, okay, and which are they? None other than the eyes, okay, and even a very well organized structure here also present is that of the ear. They don't have an external ear like we do, but they do have a very well developed internal ear, okay. All of the remaining things which are present throughout the body are basically all cellular aggregations, and they are found around nerve endings, okay. So all aggregates of cells around nerve endings. Now, also what are seen are for touch. Remember I told you even touch is a special sense? Well, the receptors of touch, okay, that is, we can call it as sensory pupillae. Sensory pupillae are touch receptors. Even those receptors are present all around the skin so that the frog knows if anything has touched it, okay. We also see that there are organs present, okay, and organs of what? These are organs of taste, and those organs of taste, they're called as taste buds. Naturally, where are they going to be present? These would be present on small papillae which are there on the tongue. So basically, even just like us, even the frogs have got taste buds, alright. Okay. Now we see here also there are sense organs, that is for the sense of smell. So the organs of smell are actually a pair of nasal chambers. So can you see how we just spoke right now that there are touch receptors, then there are organs of taste, small papillae present on the tongue, there are nasal chambers which are going to allow the smelling process to happen, alright. Okay. We also see, I told you that the eyes are very well developed sense organs in the frog. Well, how are they well developed? First of all, understand that eyes are protected, okay. And if I'm saying that eyes are protected, then they are protected by eyelids. Now, when I say eyelid, you would actually imagine that something from top will come and it'll close the eye, so it'll help it in protection. But no, that's not the case for the frogs. The frogs have an upper eyelid which is basically immovable. So you're not going to be seeing anything coming up and down. But it has a lower eyelid which is folded, and it is folded to be making a membrane which is called as a nictitating membrane. What is it called as? It is called as a nictitating membrane. Can you see this nictitating membrane over here? This is what it is. It has a nictitating membrane which can be drawn across the surface of the eye so that the eyes of the frog can be protected. Remember, for the frogs and for its protection, which is the eyelid which is going to be responsible? It will be that lower eyelid which is folded to form a membrane which is called as the nictitating membrane. Alright. Alright. Also, if I am saying that the eyes are very well developed, then naturally there's going to be special cells there which are allowing the frog to be perceiving different colors. So it can be able to see all the colors in bright light, and even during dim light they have special cells which allow them to see. Now, for my 12th standard students, we know that frogs, or rather in the retina, there are cells present which are called as rods, and they are called as cones, right? So, rods are going to be enabling the dim light vision, and cones are going to be the ones responsible for bright light and all the colors around it. So, frogs having a well developed eye are able to see both in darkness as well as in dimness as well as in bright light too. Alright. Now, look at this structure here which is pointed out with an arrow. What is that? That is nothing but the ear of the frog, okay. So what basically you can see here is that they don't have an external ear or a pinna like we do. So what is it that you see? The first thing, the very first part of the ear that you see is right bang on this circle that you're seeing here, and that is nothing but the tympanic membrane. That structure that you are seeing is a pressed tympanic membrane, okay. There is no external ear present. This is the tympanic membrane. But just like us, even the frog has a well developed inner ear. So let's see how that looks like. Look at that here. This part that you're seeing here is the tympanic membrane, okay. That is this part that you're seeing right here, that tympanic membrane. Now, if you take a cut section and you see the inner part of that ear, you can see that there is a whole track over here, or a canal like substructure which is taking, or which is going to be carrying those sound waves all the way up till the inner ear. and that tract that is there is going to be called as columella. So this columella, it is a tract which is going to help to carry sound waves from external through the tympanic membrane all the way inside into the inner ear. Okay, now ahead, when we talk about the inner ear, just like in humans, also has a utriculus and it has 3 semicircular canals too, and also it has got a small sacculus. If you remember utriculus, okay, remember these two words, utriculus and sacculus are 2 parts of the otolith organ in a human. So even the frogs have got the utriculus and the sacculus, and also they have 3 semicircular canals. Just like humans, even the frogs are going to be using these parts of the inner ear in order to balance itself. So these are going to be the ones which are helping that frog maintain a static as well as a dynamic equilibrium. Okay, now, so that was all about the nervous system of the frog. We also learnt about the special sense organs of the frog too. Now, can we move on, and we move on to coming towards the excretory system of the frog. Okay, now you know that the frog is an animal which lives on both land as well as in water, right? So talking about this excretory system, let's come to this diagram once again, which is there in our NCERT textbook. See the labelings of this diagram too. You can see this is the centrally located heart. There is this whole digestive system which you can see starting from the esophagus going down to the stomach, the intestine, the rectum. Okay, then we also see the pair of lungs present here for respiration. Also, can you see these 2-lobed liver and the gallbladder which will be storing bile? Also, we can see very prominently here are the kidneys. Just like humans, they have a pair of kidneys, and those pair of kidneys also, just like humans, will be found one on either sides of the vertebral column. All right. So there is a pair of kidneys too, and after the kidney there is also going to be the ureters, and the ureter opens into this big structure that you're seeing here. This here is going to be called as the urinary bladder, and that bladder is going to open up into this common opening over here, and that's called as the cloaca. Now, next question, what is a cloaca? Cloaca is actually an apparatus which is going to be a common opening for 3 systems. Which systems? First system, for the digestive system. Okay. Second, for the excretory system. And third, for the reproductive. System. Okay, so for digestive, for excretory and for reproductive system, for all these 3 systems, there is one common opening, and that opening is going to be called as the cloaca. Did you understand this? Okay, so now understand one thing, that when I'm saying digestive system, the anus will open into the cloaca. When I'm saying excretory system, that urethra or that ureter is going to open into the cloaca. When I say reproductive system, then the basic organ or the basic place where the gametes should come out will open into the cloaca. So let us now continue with the excretory system, and the first thing that we need to know are what are the parts involved in the excretory system. First part, there is a pair of kidneys. After the kidneys and where they're going to be making the urine, that will be passing down through the ureters. From ureters is opening this one whole big apparatus that you're seeing here, and this is what we are going to be calling as the urinary bladder. All right, and then next comes is the cloaca. Cloaca is the part from where it will be coming out from. All right, now talking first about the pair of kidneys. These are elongated, they are flat, and they are dark red colored structures. Okay, they are basically situated posteriorly. So in the front side would be coming the whole digestive system. Just like us, here also the excretory system is found to be behind the digestive system. All right, so these pair of kidneys, they are elongated, they are flat, they are dark red colored structures, and they are situated posteriorly. All right, We also see, just like I told you a little while back, that they are found on either sides of the vertebral column. Okay, they're found on either sides of the vertebral column. Then we also see that they are covered by a peritoneum. Okay, what is peritoneum? Peritoneum was the whole layer of squamous epithelium which is covering all the abdominal organs. But remember one thing, that the peritoneum is going to be covering the whole digestive system, and these kidneys are going to be lying behind the peritoneum, and when they are lying behind peritoneum, then peritoneum is found only on their front surface. That's why it said that the kidneys are covered by peritoneum only on the ventral side. Okay, that's why we can say that these kidneys are retroperitoneal, behind the peritoneum. Okay, next we also see kidneys have got the basic structural and functional unit which is going to help it prepare urine, and that unit is called as the uriniferous tubules, or we may also call those units as the nephrons. Okay, so those are the basic functional units, uriniferous tubules or the nephrons, which are going to be making urine. Okay, now just like in humans, okay, in the frogs also, a part of the urinary system is going to be carrying its genital fluid. So even in the frogs, it is the ureters. Okay, which part? The ureters. The ureters here are going to be acting as urinogenital ducts. Okay, why? Because they are going to be carrying both urine as well as semen, means the product or the fluid which contains sperms. Okay, so ureters act as urinogenital ducts in males, but in the case of the female frogs, not at all. In female frogs, the ureters are restricted to carrying only and only urine. So here the oviducts, means the whole genital region, the fallopian tubes like you have, are separate from the ureters, so they don't have any sort of involvement. Frogs are ureotelic, which means that whenever they're going to be passing out whatever nitrogenous waste, then in their urine, the maximum nitrogenous waste that is found is called as urea. That's why frogs are said to be ureotelic. There are some organisms like, or rather even if we talk about frogs only, frog when it is in a larval stage, okay, what is the larva stage of frog? Isn't it tadpole? That tadpole is found to be in water. And when we say that the tadpole is in water, that tadpole is going to be excreting out the nitrogenous waste which is called as ammonia. Okay, but when we talk about the frog, as it comes on land, it switches from ammonia to urea. So the major nitrogenous waste which is found in the frog elimination is called as urea. All right. Okay, now next let's continue, and we now start with the reproductive system. Okay, we're going to be talking about the male reproductive system, and then next we come with the female one. Frogs have a different part. Okay, when we talk about the male reproductive system, you will see that this is the part where the MCQs come. Okay, previously also whenever an MCQ comes from frog, this is where it comes from. And what is the main MCQ that comes? They want to know the passage of sperms. Where is sperms produced, and what is the whole passage that sperm goes through, and where does that sperm come out from? So the whole passage of sperm is the important part for your NEET exam. Let us start with that. Okay, so first and foremost, the male reproductive organs, the main gonads, the gamete producing organs are none other than the testes. Okay, so there are a yellowish oval shaped ovoid testes. They are attached to the kidneys. Okay, can you see how those testes are attached right to the kidney? Okay, and also they are attached to the dorsal body wall. I told you that this whole excretory structure is located on the dorsal side, okay, rather than the not in the ventral side. So ahead first will come the digestive system, then comes the excretory system, and behind that would be coming the reproductive system. Okay, so they are yellowish ovoid testes. They are attached to the kidneys and attached to the dorsal body wall by what? by a double fold of peritoneum. Now, double fold of peritoneum means that around these testes, there's going to be peritoneum, both on the front side and on the back side. Both sides there's going to be peritoneum. Okay, so that is a double fold of peritoneum, and because it is about the testes, the word used here is orchi. Whenever you have the word orchi, it is indicating testes. Okay, so mesorchium is the name of the peritoneum which is found to be around the whole testes, or all around the testes. Peritoneum is called as mesorchium. Okay. Next, we also see that each testis is composed of innumerable seminiferous tubules. So, there inside the testes, just like you see in humans, there are so many seminiferous tubules. Okay, and how are they connected? All these seminiferous tubules are going to come together. They will be connected to be forming 10 to 12 narrow tubules, and those narrow tubules will be called as the vasa efferentia. So, let's see that here. Okay. So, can you see how? Look at this diagram. When you see this diagram, you can see that these here are the testes. Let's have it in red. Okay. So, this here, this is the testes. Okay, can you see in this diagram over here? This is the testes. Okay, here are the testes. Inside the testes, there are all these tubules. Those are the seminiferous tubules inside here. And can you see how from the seminiferous tubules, the sperms would be produced, and then the sperms are going to be passing through these tubes, which are going to be called as the vasa efferentia. And from vasa efferentia, those sperms are going to enter into the kidneys. Pay attention here, something very different from humans, that the reproductive system of the male frog from the gonad is going to enter inside the kidneys. Yes, sperms are taken inside the kidneys. Okay, so from the testes, inside the seminiferous tubules, sperms are made. From there, passes through vasa efferentia. Vasa efferentia enters into the kidney, and inside the kidney, it is going to be passing through a canal which is going to be called as the Bidder's canal. This canal that they are going to be passing through is called as the Bidder's canal. And then from the Bidder's canal, those sperms will enter, look here, enter into the ureter. And in the male, didn't I tell you that this ureter is going to be carrying both urine as well as semen? So because, and why is that? Because look at this, this is the kidney here. So kidney is naturally going to be making urine. So even the urine will be passed through this ureter, and from the gonads, even the sperms will be passed through the ureter. That is why over here in the frogs also, those ureters are going to be called as urinogenital ducts. Okay, so they also called the ureters are the ones which are going to be called as urinogenital ducts. And then the ureter is finally going to open into the cloaca. Remember the cloaca? It was a common opening for three systems: the excretory, the digestive, and now you can see the reproductive system too. So can you see how this here is the rectum opening into cloaca? This here is the bladder opening into cloaca, and this here is the reproductive system opening into cloaca. So that's why I'm saying it is an opening for three systems. Okay. Now, what we see here, just what I just told you, that the urinogenital ducts of both the sides are going to be opening into cloaca. Most important part of the whole concept of frog, the part where the MCQ comes from, is the passage of sperms. It will just come as a whole match the following, which is the correct one, which is the correct passage. Okay, this comes for humans too. Let's see what happens in the frogs. First and foremost, sperms are produced in the testes. From the testes, sperms are going to enter into those tubules which are called as vasa efferentia. How many tubules? There were 10 to 12 vasa efferentia. Then after this, the vasa efferentia are going to enter into the kidneys. Okay, so vasa efferentia enters into kidneys. After kidneys, inside the kidneys, the sperms are going to be passing through that canal which is called as the Bidder's canal. So testes, vasa efferents, kidneys, Bidder's canal, and then comes the ureters. Remember, in the male frog, the ureters can also be called as the urinogenital duct. Okay, they can also be called as urinogenital duct. And finally, after the ureters would come the cloaca. So please remember, this is the one MCQ which comes actually from frog, because this is the one part which is where it is differing from humans, because the genital fluid of the frog is actually entering inside the kidneys. At what point? From the testes to vasa efferentia, from vasa efferents to kidneys to Bidder's canal. This is a very important term here, and don't forget, where is it? The Bidder's canal is present inside the kidneys, but before the kidneys a part is there which we're going to call as the vas efferents. So testes to vas efferents to kidney to Bidder's canal to ureters and finally to the cloaca. I hope this is loud and clear. I hope this is making sense. If you'd like to, I'll clear the markings here, and I need you to be taking for yourself a screenshot of this whole page so that this stays with you. Alright. So if the screenshot is taken, can we go ahead? Alright. How many of you are there with me? Can you just have some names on the live chat? Alright. Okay. So this is the cloaca, and let's continue ahead. After this, we see the female reproductive system. Okay, after the male reproductive system, let's begin with the female part. Now, in the female reproductive system, we see it is a little bit different than that what you see in the male, in the sense that in the female, the kidneys are not at all involved at any one point in the reproductive system. Okay, so we see here, when we talk about the female system, what is it exactly comprising of? It is made up of a pair of ovaries, there are oviducts, and obviously there is going to be the involvement of the cloaca. Okay, so female reproductive system has ovaries, oviducts and cloaca. Alright, now we see here that the ovaries are actually attached to the kidneys and also attached to the dorsal body wall. Here also, just like we had seen even in the testes, that even the male testes were attached to kidneys also, and they were attached to dorsal body wall also. And there also, the testes in the male frog were covered by peritoneum, and that peritoneum over there, do you remember the name? It was called as mesorchium. Over here in the females, that peritoneum which is covering the ovaries, that peritoneum layer is going to be called as mesovarium. Okay, mesorchium, orchi means testes, mesovarium, ovaries, covering the ovaries, the peritoneum is called as mesovarium. Okay, now we see here that just unlike the male frog, in the female frog, the ovaries are not having any connection with the kidneys. So this means that there is no point where the ovaries are going to enter in the kidneys. The only thing is that they are placed right on the kidneys. There is no functional connection with the kidneys. Okay. Also, we see that there are oviducts present. These oviducts are two long tubes. Okay. They are white and they are highly coiled. So that's why it said that they are convoluted tubules. Okay. Now, oviducts are like small funnels, just like in humans, they are funnels, and the funnel region have got an opening, just like humans. That opening that's present is going to be called as ostia. Okay, so the funnel, that oviduct which is present has got openings. Those openings are called as the ostia. Alright. Now we see here that the posterior ends of the oviducts are going to enlarge, and they're going to be forming OVISACS just before they enter into the cloaca. So basically the ovaries will be releasing the egg. Egg will pass through the oviducts. Oviducts will open into OVISACS, small openings. Remember, in the humans also, the oviducts have got a slight enlargement which we call as the ampulla. Over here, they're going to enlarge into small sacs which are called as OVISACS, and then they're going to open. Open where? They will then open into the cloaca. Okay. Now, when the frogs undergo mating, Okay, when the frogs undergo mating, this mating that the frogs do, remember that the frogs are observing sexual dimorphism. Now for sexual dimorphism, I told you that the male frog is actually going to be having copulatory pads on their forelimbs. Okay, so that copulatory pad is allowing that male frog to hold on to the female frog during mating. Okay, and that mating process is the position that the mating is happening in is called as amplexus. Okay, so now what happens is during the intercourse or during that the sexual reproduction that's happening there is going to be actually external fertilization happening. So when external fertilization is happening, there's going to be a mass of eggs released by the female frog, and then there will also be a mass of sperms released by the male frog. Where is all this going? Into the water. And the fertilization that's going to take place is going to take place in the water. So the mass of eggs which are released by the female is going to be called as the spawn, and the mass of sperms which are released by the male will be called as milt. Okay, so this word spawn, okay, the word spawn is a mass of eggs, okay, and the word milt is actually a mass of sperms. Okay, so these are both of these masses of eggs and sperms are released into the water, and in the water there will be fertilization taking place. So that's why we call it as external fertilization. This what you're seeing here is actually the mass of eggs which have been released into the water by the female frog. Okay, so at a time this female frog may be releasing even 1000 to 2000 small eggs in the water, and the male frogs can deposit their sperms on top of them. Whichever eggs are going to be fertilized, those are the eggs which will be developing further into the small babies, which we're going to be calling as the tadpoles. Okay, so look here, these are the small eggs, how they appear, okay, in the water. As we just saw a little while back, I told you that fertilization is external and it takes place in water. Okay, these are those small tadpoles which actually develop, okay, in the water. And the development as tadpoles are there, tadpoles are the larvae form, and because it is having a larva form, you may call this as an indirect development. Okay, so the development involves an aquatic gill breathing. Okay, remember one thing, when frogs grow, when it is a frog in an adult, we had seen that there are three modes or three organs for respiration. That was the skin, the lungs, and even this buccopharyngeal cavity. Okay, but when we're talking about the tadpole, which is present only in water, its only mode for respiration are the gills. Okay, so the development is going to be involving an aquatic which type of breathing? An aquatic gill breathing. Okay, gill breathing, herbivorous larval stage. Imagine the larva form is exactly opposite than the adult form. Adult forms of the frogs which are there, they are completely carnivorous. They eat insects, they are carnivorous. But when we talk about a tadpole, these tadpoles are herbivores. Okay, and not only are they herbivores, also they are different by having a different form for respiration. What is that? They are the gills. Okay, so gills are being used there, and that is called as the tadpole. Now, as that is a larva, whenever we say that the larva is going to be developing into an adult, then we call this as metamorphosis. So as we see that the tadpole is going to metamorphosis, and that too into what type of adult? Into an adult which is going to be breathing air, and also into an adult which is completely carnivorous. Okay, so from a herbivore it is going to develop into a carnivore. And also we see that the tadpole of the frog is actually going to, can you see this tadpole here? You can see how it is on the verge of becoming a frog. Can you see how it has already developed the hind limbs? Okay, so pretty much what happens is the hind limbs come After a little while, the forelimbs come, and eventually the tail would be disappear. And by this time, the gills have also reduced, and it is going to be needing oxygen to breathe. That's why then they come near the surface of water, so that at any given time as the tail disappears, that tadpole can immediately jump and get onto land, so that it can get the oxygen from the land. So after a given point of time, it is very mandatory that these tadpoles go near the surface so that they can quickly jump and start breathing. Because if at all they stay in the water and they don't have an area to go up and jump up and breathe, then the tadpole, which has just turned into a frog, might suffocate and die. Okay, so remember that this is also a very important part here. So tadpole of a frog actually resembles a fish, which is pertaining to taking in water and also respiring through gills. But as it goes on to the land, as it turns into an adult, the larva forms into an adult, it then becomes very different, that it would require land and it has lungs for breathing. Okay, so eventually what would be formed from that tadpole is nothing but the adult frog. All right, here is that adult frog. And so this is the whole part of frog. If at all you want to go ahead and study the external features, then do go ahead, watch the video. I've just uploaded it. We've uploaded it on the YouTube Yupp Master site. Go to Yupp Master NEET. You will find all the videos in the playlist of Animal Kingdom. You can find earthworm there too, earthworm 1 and 2. And you can find frog also. Now frog 1 will be there, and I'll just upload frog 2 as well. Alright. So remember one thing, on the 13th your exam is from 2 to 5. Okay, in the evening we will be having a live session for our doubt solving for your NEET papers. So do join with us on Sunday evening for a live online doubt solving of the NEET 2020 paper. Along with us, all the subjects, physics, chemistry, as well as botany and zoology too. Do stay tuned, and I wish you all the very best for your exams. If at all any help is required, we have our Yupp Master platform, and do come on the platform. Any doubts that's there, post it on there, and I personally will take care of your zoology doubts, and all the expert faculties will take care of all your doubts which are there of all the other subjects too. Remember, which app am I talking about? The Yupp Master app. If this is helpful for you, I hope you go ahead. I hope you give me a like on my video. I hope you subscribe to this channel too. If at all you need any help before Sunday's paper, any topic, do let me know. We have got an Ask a Doubt option over there on Yupp Master app. Do come there, do ask any doubt, and immediately you'll get the answer. Alright. All the very best for your NEET exam, which is coming up on Sunday. And I hope to see you that evening, and I'm sure your paper is gonna go great. Alright. So see you Sunday evening with me and my team. We're gonna be solving all your doubts, and whatever paper has come, we'll solve it together. Alright. Bye-bye.